Okay, so we continue with the spinal cord. Okay, spinal cord. Okay, spinal cord. The spinal cord is contained within the vertebral column and is surrounded by cerebrospinal fluid that protects and supplies the spinal cord with nutrients. Okay, the spinal cord is made up of white matter and grey matter. In a cross section, the grey matter looks like a butterfly or the letter H. Grey matter comprises mainly of cell bodies and is surrounded by white matter. White matter consists of axons covered in myelin sheath and extends up and down the spinal cord. The spinal nerve extends from the spinal cord through two short branches or roots, which are the dorsal root and ventral root. So I will show this diagram first. Using this diagram. Okay, so we have this spinal cord here. The white color is the spinal cord. So actually it is inside the vertebral column. So vertebral column is this one, at our bed bones in there. Okay, this is the vertebral column lah. Okay, contains all the bones. Okay, so the spinal cord is inside this column. Okay, and then it is surrounded by cerebrospinal fluid, the blue color here. So the cerebrospinal fluid also will surround the brain lah. Brain also have this cerebrospinal fluid, and then this function of cerebrospinal fluid is to protect the spinal cord and also supply nutrients to the spinal cords. So this is the function of cerebrospinal fluids. Okay, so you can see the spinal cord actually connected to this brain, part of brain here. Okay, then if we cut this part of the spinal cord, okay, although it's very small, we can cut the cross section of these spinal cords. So we will get this diagram. Okay, make it bigger. Okay, so we have this diagram lah. So this diagram, we have the white matter. Okay, white matter is the white color here, white matter. Okay, all the white matters, and then we have the grey matter. So grey matter looks like a butterfly or letter H. This is the grey matter. And then actually we have this spinal nerve here. This is spinal nerve. So this spinal nerve actually will be branched into two roots. Okay, so the first root is this here, this part, dorsal root, and this one is actually the ventral root. Okay, ventral root. Okay, dorsal root and ventral root. So in this diagram, dorsal will be face the back lah, dorsal root. Okay, then we have the ventral root face the abdomen. Okay, ventral root. So like this, the position inside the inside this spinal cord lah. Okay, so the structure of the spinal cord. So we move back to the diagram. Okay, to the diagram. Wait. Okay, so move back to this part of the textbook. So before I explain more about the diagram, so we just continue with the function of the spinal cord. So function of the spinal cord is to process a few types of sensory information and to send response through the motor neuron. So this spinal cord actually will receive the nerve impulse from the receptor also lah. Okay, receptor through the sensory neuron go to spinal cord, then from the spinal cord it will send the nerve impulse to the motor neurons and then to the effector. So this is the first function. The second function, control the reflex action. You still remember what is the reflex action? Reflex action is the fast response, especially to prevent us from injury. For example, when you touch a hot object, okay, you will quickly withdraw your hand, because this is the function of the spinal cord. It will control the reflex action. That means the stimulus detected by the receptor, for example the heat, will be sent as enough impulse to the spinal cord, not reach the brain. Okay, not reach the cerebrum lah. So just reach the spinal cord, and then from spinal cord we go back to the effector. We go to the effector through the motor neuron. So the pathway is shorter. So that's why the response is very fast lah, compared to if the nerve impulse sent to the brain. So we take longer time because we have to think what to do. But for this one, you don't have to think. Just occur quickly. When touch hot object, quickly withdraw your hand, because the impulse descend to the spinal cord. Okay, so another function is to connect the brain with the peripheral nervous system. So this is also the function of the spinal cord. Okay, that's function. So move on to the diagram here. So I will explain more about this diagram. Okay, because just now we already see the diagram, but not so so many explanation lah. Okay, right. So this one we have to explain the diagram. So first we start with this white matter first. Okay, white matter. White matter contains myelin coated axon. So maybe you still don't know what is axon. Later in the neurons, types of neuron, we are going to learn what is the axons. Actually axon function to carry impulse lah. Carry impulse. Okay, but anyway, I will explain later in the neurons. Okay, so we have gray matter. So the white matter, the white color here. Okay, surrounding the gray matter. So this is the gray matter. So gray matter looks like H letter, or looks like a butterfly. So inside here we have three types of neurons. You can see here we have the sensory neuron, the purple color. Okay, and then relay neuron, and then also motor neuron. So three types of neuron. So these neurons are connected to each other. Okay, so sensory neurons connected to the relay neuron, then the relay neuron connected to motor neuron. So in this case, for example, if you have the stimulus, nerve impulse from the receptor, right? So the nerve impulse will be sent through the sensory neuron, then enter the gray matter. It will transmit to the relay neuron. Then from relay neuron, the impulse will be transmitted to the motor neuron. So the motor neuron will transmit or send the impulse to the effector. Okay, so that means the spinal cord will in the spinal cord what can say that these three neurons can be found in this spinal cord. Okay, so let us take a look for one by one the structure here. So we have the spinal nerve. So I already showed you the spinal nerve before. So the spinal nerve contains the sensory neuron and motor neuron. So inside this spinal nerve, you can see these two types of neurons, sensory and also motor neuron. Okay, this is inside the spinal nerve. So this spinal nerve later will branch into two. Branch into first dorsal root here, and second into the ventral root. This one, ventral root, second dorsal root. The two branches come from the spinal nerve. So what is the function of dorsal root? Dorsal root contains the axon of the sensory neurons that sends nerve impulse from the sensory receptor to the spinal cord. So axon actually this is the longer part here. The long part here known as axon. So axon actually the impulse will flow inside this axon. Okay. This one is the axon of the sensory receptor. So mainly in dorsal root we have the sensory receptor. Okay. Then here we have the curve here. This curve known as dorsal root ganglion. The sensory neuron cell bodies are clustered in the dorsal root ganglion. So what is the cell body? This is the cell body. Cell body. So every neuron has cell body lah. So this one, the cell body of sensory neuron can be found in this dorsal root ganglion. So this dorsal root ganglion is the curve here at the dorsal root. This one dorsal root. This one dorsal root. But the curve at the dorsal root known as dorsal root ganglion, so have the cell body of the sensory neuron. Later we are going to learn more what is the cell body, what is the axon. Okay. And then move on to the here we have the ventral roots contains the motor neuron that sends the impulse from the spinal cord to the effector. So inside the ventral root here we have motor neuron. So dorsal root have sensory neuron. Dorsal have sensory neuron. So ventral root contains motor neurons. So this one connected at this gray matter here. You can see here gray matter. This one also the cell body. Cell body of the relay neuron. This one is cell body of the motor neuron. Cell body. So we can say that cell body of relay neuron and motor neuron, okay, can be found in gray matter. This one. Okay. So for the sensory neuron, the cell body can be found in the dorsal root ganglion. This one. Okay. So for the relay neuron, cell body can be found in the gray matter, and same with the motor neuron. The cell body can be found in the gray matter. So these are the structure of the spinal cord. So you must remember the label. You must remember the 3 types of neurons. Okay, maybe you have label which one is sensory neuron, which one is motor neuron, which one is relay neuron. And then the spinal nerve contains what? Contain both sensory neuron and motor neuron. For dorsal root contains sensory neuron. Ventral root contain motor neuron, and then the cell body. Cell body for the sensory neuron can be found in the dorsal root ganglion, and then cell body for the relay neuron and also motor neuron can be found in the gray matter. So we don't have ventral root ganglion. No, here no ventral root ganglion. So you must remember dorsal root ganglion. Okay, then we continue with this one. Okay, the peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system consists of the somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system regulates all control actions. The autonomic nervous system controls involuntary actions such as heartbeat and contraction of the blood vessels. The function of the peripheral nervous system is to connect sensory receptors and effectors to the central nervous system. So for this one, I will show you back this diagram. This one. So we have peripheral nervous system made up of cranial nerve and spinal nerve. So peripheral nervous system can be divided into 2. Somatic nervous system. Okay, somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Okay, so function of this somatic nervous system. Okay, function regulates all control action. So that means this involve the cerebrum. Regulates all control actions. Okay, so maybe the receptor, the sensory receptor here detects the stimulus. So the impulse will flow into the cranial nerve lah. We go to the cranial nerve and then go to the brain. Go to the cerebrum. So this is for the control action lah. Okay, this one. Okay, the spinal nerve, the cranial nerve. Okay, function to send the impulse to the brain, to the cerebrum, for example. Okay, and then from the brain also we send back to the effector lah. Okay, so this one for the somatic nervous system. Okay, then we have the autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system, a control involuntary action. Okay, such as heartbeat, and also contraction of the blood vessel. This one all the process inside our body. So this one different from the reflex action lah. This one actually process in our body. So you still remember heartbeat. So heart can beat by itself because of the cardiac muscle. Okay, so usually this one don't have the what we call the pathway lah, for stimulus and so on. Maybe certain we have, but some of this process don't need the stimulus. It will occur naturally lah. For example, such as heartbeat, because it can beat by itself because of the cardiac muscle, right? Cardiac muscle that's myogenic, can beat by themselves, can beat by themselves. Okay, so this is the autonomic nervous system and somatic nervous system for the peripheral nervous system. So the main function for this one is actually to connect the sensory receptors and effectors to the central nervous system. So what is the meaning is that peripheral nervous system will connect the sensory receptor here with the central nervous system. For example, if the nerve impulse must be detected by must be what we call interpreted by the spinal cord. So the receptor will send the stimulus will be sent by the spinal nerve to the spinal cord. So this one is function to connect the peripheral nervous system with the central nervous system. So for the control action, for example, maybe here, okay, we go to the cranial nerve. So this one connect the peripheral nervous system to the central nervous system, to the brain or to the spinal cord. Okay, so these are the function of the peripheral nervous system.